Hey everyone, Austin Swanson here, aka 24/7, bringing a brand new video on investing checklists. To me, this has been one of the best things I have created for investing. So much so that I have it saved everywhere so I do not lose this file. I have it saved to my desktop, saved it in the cloud, and I'll email it to myself periodically just so I have all these backups for it and do not lose this information. The reason for that is I've spent years trying to consume as much information about investing as possible to try to identify great companies, not make the mistakes other people have done, and just make better investing decisions. And so I've read books, read annual reports, read partnership letters, listened to podcasts, speeches, everything I can get my hands on for investing. I've done that, but what I quickly realized, and I realized this elsewhere, such as studying for actuarial exams, that I can consume as much information as possible and sit there and just read all day. But for me personally, I can't retain that information. I can only retain a small fraction of that unless I write that down, record it somewhere, and have it in a way that I can easily, readily use that information. I can, and I could store this and put in OneNote or something else and have all these different notes everywhere else over many, many pages, but then I can't really use it. It's great for, maybe searching and finding things, but if I have a new investing idea, the best thing about the checklist then is I can just go one by one and recall and be like, oh yeah, I remember this, reading this, and this is what happened for this business, and so, oh boy, I shouldn't invest in this company because these have very similar setups right now, and this is likely to happen, right? And so that's the number one reason for using this is in total, the three big things of using this is to be able to store all your information that you read so you can remember it and then use it, and then to identify companies that could be very good, have really good investment prospects. And then the other thing is to avoid mistakes. The last thing that I've kind of done my little twist on for this specific checklist, and again, I have this for sale, because I've really toyed with not selling it and not giving it to others because it's something that I don't know, it's kind of personal. It's my notes of and how I'm kind of thinking about businesses, but I highly suggest that you create your own. It's just something very valuable. But it's something I've done with mine, and you'll see at the top, the one that I provide doesn't have all my individual businesses that I've evaluated. I clear this all out, but what you'll notice at the top, and it's really small, is that color coding, and that's conditional formatting against all the scores. And so what I do is I essentially say, does it have this business quality, yes or no? And if it does, I'm summing up all those scores. A much better thing, and something I'm working on, is doing the inverse of this and trying to do a checklist to avoid mistakes rather than identifying opportunities. But this has just been my progression for how I've analyzed businesses. So this one is trying to identify great businesses. It has mistakes and stuff, and it will help me avoid mistakes by if it doesn't have these characteristics. But the thing that I do is, it's one thing to evaluate, and this is actually how I think about businesses, is one characteristic is saying, hey, what's the intrinsic value over the price, and what's my potential return? What are some of the business economics, like cash return on invested capital? But the other really important thing to me is all the qualitative things. What is the management quality like? Are they good capital allocators? Are there other interesting mental models that I can think about that apply to this business, that have a unique setup that don't show up on the numbers today? Maybe they're losing tons of money, but there's interesting things that I've pulled from other companies and what other investors have looked for. And I will say yes or no, go through, think about this. And that's the other thing is by going one by one, I really start thinking about the business and what its potential is. And so I will come up with a score. It's all these qualitative factors, but I come up with a score, and I can utilize that with all the other information that I'm pulling and figure out what has the highest score and then allocate based on that. And so I have just found this overall to be one of the best investing tools that I've come across. I highly recommend to use your own. You can check out mine down below. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one.